At last, I must say that the best foundation for oily skin is going to be Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. So these are supposed to be the best foundations for oily skin, but which one is better? Here you're seeing my face in all its glory because I want to do a foundation wear test with two different foundations. I want to test the Too Faced Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation versus the Fenty Beauty Soft Matte Longwear Foundation. Both of these foundations are supposed to have just amazing longevity and finish with people with more normal to oily skin. If you have dry skin, I'm sorry, this video is not exactly for you. So I looked online at different swatches and I also went in store to swatch these foundations to find the best shades for me. The shade I got in the Fenty foundation is 180, which is described as light with warm undertones. The shade I got in the Peach Perfect foundation is Shortbread, which is described as very light golden. And this is actually one of the new shades since they expand their shade range. Before I put this foundation on my face, I wanted to show y'all how these foundations look freshly swatched and after they've dried after a few minutes. So I swatched these on my arm a few minutes ago. On the top we have Too Faced Peach Perfect and Shortbread, and on the bottom we have Fenty and 180. I'm actually surprised at how much more orange the Fenty one has, because looking at the swatches and also in store, this looked like, wow, like really, really yellow. Actually looking at it next to Shortbread, Shortbread is more yellow and Fenty has a little bit more peach in it. Real quick so you all know, I have very yellow skin. Whenever I buy a new foundation, I always choose a light shade with a warm undertone, and the more yellow it is, the better. This is the Too Faced foundation freshly swatched, so you can see how much that color changes. Here's Fenty 180 freshly swatched. So these two shades look very similar freshly swatched on my arm, but they actually dry down to something a little bit different from each other. This is why I always recommend when you're buying a foundation, especially a high-end foundation that costs that coin, to go in store, swatch a few shades on your neck and walk around the store for a while and then come back and see which shade matches the best, because they do change color as they dry down. Another look at that before I go into my face. All right, so now it is 9:40 in the morning. I'm getting a little bit of a late start to my day. So I put my hair up and pushed back my hair with a headband, and I'm here full on egg mode. So one side I'm gonna wear the Peach Perfect foundation, and then the other side I'm gonna use the Fenty foundation. So my right will be Fenty and my left will be Too Faced. Both of these foundations also have a very liquidy, kind of runny texture, which personally I really like. That's my taste of foundation. I prefer that over a much thicker foundation because I feel that more liquidy foundations feel more lightweight. I'll be applying and blending in the foundation today with brushes, and I use a different brush for each side. I just applied one very thin layer of the Fenty 180 on this side, and I do expect it to get a little bit darker as it sets down. Here's where it is now. I have a lot of little bumps as well as souvenirs from past breakouts on my cheeks. I'm gonna add another light layer just to the places where I want more coverage, which is pretty much my entire face. So here's where that second layer got me. I would say this is a pretty medium cover foundation, which is actually my preference. I don't super like really, really full coverage foundations. I don't really care if you can see some of my marks. I would rather have that than just have my makeup look bad. Now I'll apply my first light layer of Too Faced to my left side. This foundation does have a peach fragrance, if that bothers any of y'all. So here's that first light layer of that Peach Perfect. So I have a lot to cover up on this side too. I would say it has a similar coverage to the Fenty. Now for a second light layer where I want some more coverage. The color match spread out on the face and not just thickly swatched on my arm like this. The color match is actually very similar between both sides. I'm actually really happy with how this is looking right now. I think soft matte or comfort matte is a really good way to describe these foundations because you can tell they're not like dewy finish or even a natural finish, but they're not like completely flat and matte. At this point, I wouldn't say that one side of my face is more matte than the other. All right, I'm gonna go finish my face and makeup. Just something simple so we can really see how the foundation is doing. Here's my look, something soft and with like a natural and cute vibe. I also didn't put on any concealer today, so what you're seeing is just with the foundation. So I'm not setting my face with powder today just to really test the foundation. I also a lot of days forget to wear powder in real life, so that's not too far off from my norm. My cheeks are a little bit set with powder because I used powder, bronzer, highlighter, and blush. And I gave my face a couple sprays with the Smashbox 3-in-1 primer water. As I was doing the rest of my makeup, I did notice that around my mouth and on my chin, it does look a little bit makeup-y. You can tell I'm wearing foundation. It's not clinging to anything weird or emphasizing my bumps or really emphasizing my peach fuzz or anything. So right now it's a little after 10 a.m. and I'm just gonna go about my day. I have some errands to run and I'll even be walking around a little bit in the Texas sun, so see you later. I also wanted to show you guys how the foundation is looking in natural light. And so far so good. Hiya! It is currently 4:30 p.m., which means it's been 6 hours since I first applied these foundations. I do have a little bit of shine breaking through on my forehead and just a little bit on the apples of my cheeks. However, keep in mind that I have a ring light right now, which is a pretty harsh light and it's going to reflect a lot off my face. One thing I did notice in wearing both of these foundations that both of them did around hour 2 is that really foundation-y look that was around my chin and mouth, it kind of went away. My natural oils mix really well with these foundations to smooth out and take away that more kind of heavy makeup-y look. I do think that on the lower half of my face where I was having my problems earlier, the Fenty side kind of homogenized better and the Too Faced side still looks a little bit foundation-y. I'm interested to see if it's the same after a few more hours. So I'm going to continue about my day and I'm not going to blot so we can really see how these fare after a few more hours. Hello! I am here for my final check-in. It's currently 9:30 p.m., which means I've had both of these foundations on for around a little more than 11 hours now. In terms of which foundation I think looks better right now, I think I prefer the finish and the final look of the Fenty foundation. However, I have to say the Too Faced foundation held together better. So let me show you, hopefully you can see. But on this side of my nose, there's no foundation left in this little crevice. And it's starting to break apart a little bit around this hook. But on this side, I obviously don't have foundation where my glasses were, but I don't have any foundation in the little hook. Otherwise, the foundation is intact on the rest of my nose. In terms of which side got oilier, first the Fenty side. Here's the Fenty side. It pretty much knocked out this blotting sheet. Now for the Too Faced side. Okay, and here's the Too Faced side. So as you can see, less oil did get through on the Too Faced. And I really tried to get everything I could off of this. And this is still everything I could. And this one, you know, shows more. So I know I say that I have oily skin, but even among less oily skin people, there is quite a scale of your oiliness. So I would say I'm maybe like mid to low scale oily skin. If your pores are even more out of control than mine, then maybe the Too Faced one might be better for you. When I walked into Sephora when I was first beginning my makeup journey, one of the reps at Sephora who actually says that he had really oily skin swore by the Too Faced foundation. And so I want to share that with y'all as well. However, after blotting once though, both sides, both foundations look amazing again. And so it honestly looks like I'm good for another 4 hours. All right, so my final verdict, the best foundation for oily skin is going to be Too Faced because of its resilience and long wearingness as well as its value. For $36, you get 1.6 or 1.7 ounces of foundation with a Too Faced Peach Perfect foundation, whereas for $35, you get 1.08 ounces of the Fenty foundation. So if you pay $1 more for the Too Faced, you're getting over 50% additional product. However, personally, between these two foundations, my preference is towards the Fenty foundation. I prefer the finish of the Fenty foundation throughout the day, and I also think that the Fenty foundation looked a little bit nicer upon initial application. Now, I know what I'm saying is pretty incongruent, but that's just what I'm feeling. Through this entire day, it kind of felt like I was wearing one foundation. It did not at all feel like I was wearing two different foundations. So that's another reason why I think I would recommend the Too Faced more, because if you really can't tell a difference, then just go for the one that is more bang for your buck. If you have used either of these foundations and you either love them, hate them, have any opinions on them, please tell me in the comments. I would love to see y'all's experiences with these. If you like this video, please let me know by giving me a thumbs up. And if you liked me, then you can subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And before you go about the rest of your day, I must remind you to find beauty in every day, and most importantly, be kind to yourself. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!
Let's go have some fun.